Hey, Corky Alexander. I wanted to answer the question, Corky, what is your Mississippi Delta Blues tour about? Okay. Um, Several years ago, I started doing these uh, tours of the Mississippi Delta after I had done them myself for several times to find out what the real important places were. I used to include Memphis. We would meet in Memphis and we would uh, do, Sun Studio, Gibson Guitar Factory, uh, Stax Records, you know, Beale Street, so forth, for one day. And the next day, we would we'd head down Highway 61 out of Memphis to do the Delta Blues Tour. I have since separated those, and now, because Memphis is a full 2 days itself, uh, excuse me, and now the Delta is all I'm doing right now. I'm not doing Memphis right now. Um, but basically, what happens is we get there early in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. We meet in Memphis, and then we go down Highway 61. We stop in Helena, Arkansas. We cross over the Mississippi River on a little road there. We go to Helena, Arkansas. It's a big deal because it's an old Levon Helm town. But more historically, it is the home of the radio station where the King Biscuit Flower Hour broadcast from since the 30s, and today is still broadcasting. If we get there at noon, it's not unusual for the DJ to interview visitors. There's a museum there in Helena, Arkansas, so we do that. Come back out to Highway 61, we head down, maybe stop at the visitor center and get some nice brochures because Mississippi, which I have moved near to now, I'm living in Hamilton, Alabama. I'm just a hop skip from Tupelo, Mississippi, and then very close to driving into the Delta. Um, but after we do Helena, we come out, and then there's a little variation in these tours depending on what's open or what happens to be closed at the time. But we go down and we head toward Clarksdale. We do Clarksdale. We usually eat lunch at the Ground Zero Blues Club, owned by Morgan Freeman, and go to the Delta Blues Museum there in Clarksdale. See the legendary Crossroads, go in the Mojo shops, which are very cool, and maybe shoot some pool at Ground Zero. But anyway, we come out of Clarksdale. Sometimes we stop at the Riverside Hotel, which is where Bessie Smith passed away. And they have rooms dedicated to the different bluesmen in there. There's John Lee Hooker room, the B.B. King room, Muddy Waters room. When they came to Clarksdale to play, they got to stay in their room, and they've preserved a lot of that. If that's open, Riverside Hotel. We leave out of Clarksdale. Some of this may not be in exact order. I'm just thinking through it. We definitely are going to go to the Dockery Plantation, where all the farm equipment is still there to the time. The Mississippi Delta is essentially the same geographically and in terms of the way the place looks as it was in the 30s. And so we go to the Dockery Plantation because there was a number of bluesmen who worked on that plantation, and we'll hear the stories about them. Also, they've turned the slave quarters into bed and breakfast now, which is really cool. So we leave out from Dockery. At some point, we pass the Mississippi State Penitentiary, Parchment Farm, which is where Elvis's dad stayed for a while because of some dealings he did. and there were other bluesmen who served time in Parchment Farm as well. Charlie Patton, I believe. Charlie Patton kind of hits the high spots of these places. Then we leave out. We go down, go to Sonny Boy Williamson II's grave, and we go down. It's hard to find, but once you get there, it's a very important grave. We go to Sonny Boy Williamson's grave. We go to Tutwiler, to the train track where W.C. Handy first heard a blues holler, and there are lots of nice murals there. We go to Leland, Mississippi, where Johnny and Edgar Winter's father was the mayor, and there's a Delta Blues Museum there in Leland, and really cool. And there's often a blues man there playing guitar, so you throw a guitar in his trunk. And these tours usually are a carload of guys and gals. We play the music on the CD player, and then we do talking in the car as we're whistle stopping from place to place. So after Leland, we're headed down toward Indianola, and the B.B. King Interpretive Center is there, which is gorgeous and has all the touch screens and traces the blues from the Pentecostal church and other sources, and has a big touch screen view of the Chitlin circuit, which most of the blues players traveled on in their playing. BB will be buried there now because he passed away recently, so we see his grave. He has renovated an old cotton gin that he worked in as a boy, and that's what the museum is housed in. It's wonderful. And then he has a little building off to the side. If we go during the school year, the after-school program is in vogue, and you can see little African-American boys practicing a band in a room where BB provided the drums and amps and all for them to practice in for after-school program. Then we're headed over toward Greenwood. It's late in the day now, probably almost dark. We get to Greenwood, and that's where we go to the Baptist church where Robert Johnson is buried, and it is the agreed grave. There were several graves for Robert Johnson, but this is the agreed one by the family, and we go visit that, and that usually is late in the evening. And then we head back up to Memphis, usually get back to Memphis about 11, so the tour essentially runs from like 7 in the morning to 11 at night. Unless we elect to stay in one of the slave quarters at Dockery and then work out a deal where we can do 2 days, which we can do, and I'm real flexible. What is the cost of the tour? Well, I just ask for help with gas money, because every time I go, it's like going to Holy Land. So you actually will be in the land where the bluesmen played and grew up, and the vibe is still there. I've had people, educators, even from other countries, come and take my blues tour over the course of the years, and they say that being there on the Delta and hearing that music is very, very experiential for them. So consider this. I need to get a group together. It's May right now, so it would be really good if before it gets too hot, if we could go. So if you're interested in this, contact me. You can get me on Facebook, or my Gmail is all lowercase, Corky Alexander, CorkyAlexander 7 @gmail.com. So we're trying to put this tour together with some of the players down here in Alabama, and if there's anybody in the area that's interested, please let me know, because I dearly love doing this. And I don't know that my stories are all that enlightening that I'll be telling, but I'll be, giving historical context to the early blues players and this American form of music, which has been vital in this country. Okay, adios.